Hello. It's Monday. Loading, loading, loading. What's up, everybody? It's the beginning of the show on a Monday afternoon. 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when this show starts. So whatever that is for you, just like, where is it? Cas Aqua says hello from Holland. Says it's midnight in the Netherlands right now. What up? This show's gone global. Good to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to be not dead. Boy, howdy, I feel like $2. I feel like $2. I was going to say I feel like $1 million, but I don't. I feel like $2 out of that scale. Pretty terrible. Caught the stomach bug from the children. A lot of fun. Very good time. You know what I'm saying. Hanging out, just feeling like I'm going to throw up all the time. It's pretty rad. So it's going to be it's going to be a foreshortened show today. Just a warning in case it's like 35 minutes and he had to go. Yeah, well, that's why. Anyhow, other than that, everything is great out here in my neck of the woods. And today's topic, let's just jump into the topic today. I want to just get right into it right at the beginning, especially because, you know, with all the new people to the channel, they're like, I check out your live streams and you don't talk about the thing I wanted you to talk about that was like right at the beginning and you weren't talking about it at the beginning. So, hey, why not? Let's just do some of that. Right at the beginning are the Guppies breeding. We are 1 month in. Actually, 2 days ago, it was 1 month after we got in the Endler's Guppies from Alyssa, who is on the show. I believe she'll be on the show on Friday. Hopefully, we shall see. Hopefully she's here. She's here every other Friday, barring any kind of schedule conflicts and stuff. So, but it's been a month since we got those guppies in. We had pregnant females. We had pregnant females swimming all around the tank, doing all that kind of stuff, and then the females were quite skinny after 1 day. So one day they were really fat. The next day it was like, wow, you've given birth. Now, the 150-gallon tank that they're in right now is exceedingly full of plant coverage and all that kind of stuff. Literally took me a week to find one of the babies to verify, just with my eyes, like, there's got to legit be a baby in here somewhere. Got to find it, and just know that a baby has happened, right? And I can verify that, not with video today, because they were located in the overflow of the aquarium. They've somehow skittered around on the top, gotten into the overflow in the aquarium. Then they're in the back there, swimming around down there. They haven't gone down into the sump, although there may or may not be a couple down in the sump. I haven't completely verified whether or not there's none in the sump. I've definitely been looking around down there for them, and been like, what is going on? And but they are actually in the overflow right now. They're not in the sump. My expectation was that the babies would end up in the sump and not the overflow. I wouldn't think that they would be hanging out in the overflow chamber, but that's where they're at, which means just nothing but good news. It's just fantastic to have guppies, you know, the little Endlers, live bearers that I got now, to have them breeding and them doing well. It's so encouraging. It's just, I don't know why. I don't know why I tried the project with the one male and the one female. It just hurt my feelings. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's pretty ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I see Novice Medical Grower in the chat. What is up? Yes, it has been long time no see for sure. I honestly, I was looking through the Discord the other day because I got had some private messages on there, and Novice Medical Grower had popped up into my private chat as I was like scrolling through and looking at all of them if I'd forgotten to get back to anybody. And Novice Medical Grower's right there. I think all I sent was a thumbs up. All I sent was this silly thumbs up. There we go. And So yeah, good to see you back. It's been a while, been a long time. So why not? Why not come back? Everybody's got to take a break from everything at some point in time. So hey, welcome back to the Oceaneers. Why not? Dave Diaz says, hey, yeah, he's sick too. I got the coronavirus. No, I don't have the coronavirus, but I did have the pneumonia. I had a couple other things going on. It has been brutal for the sickness this year, obviously, but I don't have the coronavirus, I don't think. I mean, but everybody's got the stomach flu going around from all the children's at the daycare. Some kind of stomach virus that is, it makes everything evacuate your body rapidly. I think that's the nicest way to put it, and it is not anybody's friend. I see Mr. Zen there. I was literally listening to JH Aquatics live stream from from Friday or something like that, and I realized, is Mr. Zen and the Zen Ginger, are they in cahoots? I don't know if they're in cahoots, but they might be. But I don't know. But what's up? Good to see you. Okay, let me switch my scenes here and go back to talking about the guppies. So, I'm super happy that the Endler guppies that I got are essentially the exact ones that I've wanted for actually quite a while. It was just a matter of serendipity that Alyssa had the ones that I really wanted to get my hands on again, and she actually was going to be rehoming those ones, so I ended up getting lucky, and that just working out somehow impeccably well, and that was honestly rad. And now that they're breeding, that's even more rad. That's just a rad times 100. I'm pretty happy. I'm also happy with the crushed coral that I've added to the sump. That is bringing just enough hardness to the water, though I have noticed that my CO2 has gotten just a little bit out of hand in that tank. I have to swap out some CO2 equipment, which, well, I'll probably make a video about that, because there's always a lot of people are always interested in figuring out what's going on with their CO2 equipment. Excuse me, I don't know what that was. It's like something in here was bad news. I don't know. But as I mentioned, I'm just sick again from the kids. I don't understand how anybody I don't understand how people are able to have children these days. I just don't understand how there's almost 8 billion people on the planet. If you have a baby, then the baby goes out and it hangs around all these other sick babies, and then the baby comes home. Why aren't there just more dead parents? That's kind of what I'm wondering at this point. It's not necessarily a real thought, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a joking thought, but I'm like, how do adults survive this and not be just all dead? Because it is an onslaught of just a sickness, and then here's another one. Big D Smoke says maybe it's some stomach virus. I felt fine, then a few later was hovering over the bowl. Yes, that Big D Smoke, if you guys don't know, actually lives really close to me, and I do have to message him about some sneakers, which reminds me, I got to message him about some sneakers, but we do live very close together, and as far as I know, there's a stomach virus going around our area here in Tacoma, Washington, and those children go to the daycare, and then all the people come to the daycare, and then they go out, and then they come home, and then they're all mixing it together, and yeah. You know, and it's not one of those things, I don't have a baby that's doesn't want to be around her parents, you know what I'm saying? She likes to be around us, and we like to spend time with her as much as we can. So, yeah, she's all up in the grill, and she probably sneezed in my face and gave me whatever it is. Mikey Fishy, who's a new member. What's up, Mikey? Says, I have 3, and my oldest just turned 6. I've been sick as a dog for a week. Yeah, that's just the thing. It's just been ongoing. It's I get better for a week and a half, 2 weeks or something, and then I just get some kind of sickness again, and then I get healthy for a week, and then I get something else, and it's just, boo, man, it has just been never ending. I mean, it feels like it's never ending, and then it makes me question things like why aren't all of the parents of the world deceased at this point? I don't know how my mom did it. Makes no sense how my mom could go to the ER every day and have kids at home. It makes no sense to me. Although I was at the ER with my mom a lot. Actually, it was something my mom Okay, grandma now came over to hang out Friday night and Saturday day. She came over with her husband, and which is awesome. That's something I love about, being almost 40 now. Is like, yeah, mom and her husband came over and they hung out. It's just kind of cool. And we were talking about that when I was a kid, my mom was a ER charge nurse for like 45 years or something like that. And when I was a kid, when I was a kid, I would actually just go to the ER with my mom to work when I was sick, which they would not do that now. They would not do that now. Nowadays, they do not let that happen. That just is not something that is going to happen. But back in the day, that was like super common. And I'll tell you this much: if I ever got injured and wounded and all that kind of stuff, which was for sure something that happened growing up, I have a giant book of hospital visits, and anytime I would go there, man, there was for sure a nurse there that knew who I was. Even when I was be 30 years old, like, hey, lady that I've met when I was 5, hey, how you doing? It's good to not be dead. Yeah. Guppy Guru says, I think everyone is sick right now. You are not far off. That is for sure. A little off topic, but think of doing some interviews on Twitch. Is there entry level? Is there an entry level? Would you suggest me getting? I'm thinking I might purchase the same mic as you. You're wondering about. Oh, is there an entry level I could suggest you getting as far as a microphone? Yeah, I definitely can. This mic, if you're entry level and you have no income coming in, don't buy this microphone. This is a fantastic microphone, but it is way too expensive for what you're doing. If you're just starting out, you want... I think I have one here. Nope, sorry. Maybe I don't have one. I used to have one. Oh, no, that's right. I gave it to... I gave it away. I gave it away to somebody who was starting out as a creator. But you're looking for a Blue Yeti is what you would want to get. You can hook it directly up to your computer. It's just a USB cord. That's the one you want. You want a Blue Yeti. That's the best microphone. This microphone off the shelf is like $500. And this actually was a gift from Corey. So I didn't even buy this microphone. And then you also need to buy a cloud lifter that goes with this, XLR cables. Then it has to run to an input that goes into your computer. So if you're starting out, a Blue Yeti is going to be your best bet. Fish Tank Barn says the Blue Snowball. I don't like the Snowball as well as I like the Yeti. The Yeti, you get a little better features, more controllability. The latency is much better on it. And, I just think the Yeti's better. But if you're going to buy this microphone that is like $400 or $500, just buy a Yeti because they're only like $150, which I used for a really long time. I used that for a long, long time. I actually had 2 of those for many, many moons. So that's what I would do if you're just somebody that's starting out and you're going to do some interviews or live streams or whatever. But the Guppy babies, I don't know how many I have. Like I said, I've only been able to verify just a few of them. Nothing too outrageous. Nothing just nutty like that. Or there's just nothing crazy going on. So pretty good. But I don't know how many I got. So we shall see as they grow up. And I hope to get to the point where I just have no idea how many guppies I have. That's ultimately the goal with those endlers, is just to get to the point where I'm like, I have no idea how many I have. It's so many, right? So that's the goal. If I get to that point, kudos. I really hope I'll get to that point because, I've taken care of guppies for long time. So I'm confident in the fact that if I have more than just one male and one female, I should be fine, and it should work out well. Plus, there's no other predators in that tank or anything like that, so there's nothing really knocking down the population. So hopefully, we'll just continue going that direction. The Fish Tank Barn says the upgrade from the Yeti is the Rode NT. Yeah, I feel like the Rode NT is like it's a decent microphone, but if you're gonna go that route and like upgrade in that direction, then what I would personally do is upgrade to something like a shotgun mic. Would personally be a better upgrade as far as I'm concerned. So, like something like this Deity here, like. So it would actually just be off screen, and you can actually just have a shotgun mic, because I could put it right here, and you guys would have no idea it was there. So when I was talking, I could just be like this, not with my arm, but it would just be up there, and you could just be doing a show more like this. So you could just be like, hey, ba 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 ba, and so that would be like my. If you're going to upgrade from a Yeti, I wouldn't go over to a mic like this. I would go over to getting some shotgun mics and putting them up above where you're working at that are just really directional, and just make sure that you're generally right in the area. So if your shotgun mic is like, 30 inches away from you, like the space that you can hang out in is about like yay big. So it's not too big of a deal to like be moving around a little bit and that kind of stuff, just as long as you're like where you're supposed to be at. That personally, at this juncture, I would consider that is probably the upgrade path for most people to go on, to eventually just get the mic not in your face. Unless you just really like the mic in your face thing, then do that. Then go this route, but be aware that like this route's going to cost like $600, $700, like $800 or something like that. I have multiple mics running into an interface that runs to the computer, so it just becomes really complex. So, but I think if I was going to do that, I would mount shotgun mics up above and just run it that way. So, I'm going to do that someday. When? I don't know when that day is going to come. I don't know when that day is going to happen, but it will someday. Yeah, Bentley, the new video mic NTG from Rode is really nice. Yeah, it actually is really nice. I got to check it out just a little while ago. I don't own one, but I got to check it out, and I would say it's really, really nice. But to be honest with you, like I don't really use shotgun mics anymore, except for just click track stuff, So mostly everything I use for audio that isn't shot in here in the office is here. Oh, it's stuck. Hold on just a second. I got it right here because I'm charging it. And it's all charged though. So legit right here, it even has gaff tape on it. like I even put gaff tape on it to hold the wire so that the wire's not too long. And then there's the lapel mic. And this wirelessly transmits to this unit right here, which hooks up into your camera. So, I don't really use shotgun mics out when I'm out walking around or anything like that anymore. I just use this Sennheiser unit. It's got built-in batteries, so you just charge it via USB-C. And this is my favorite way to get audio pretty much 100%. Because I have the mic on me. This thing lasts turned on for like 8 hours, something like that, transmitting, and you can even plug it in to USB and just leave it, and it will stay powered forever, basically, as long as you're supplying mains to it. So that's my favorite one, and I would recommend anybody out there to not get into the flavor of using a shotgun mic like this, except for when you have a sound guy. But if you can mic up people, you know, that's what I would do. We got a $2 super chat here from Mr. Zen. So Mr. and Mrs. the Zen Ginger. Okay, awesome. I just was like, I was listening to that fish stream with JH Aquatics, and I realized like, that I was like, wait a minute, that makes too much sense. But I wanted to verify it if I saw either of you around. I was going to ask. And Mr. Zen was here first, and thanks for the $2, man. I appreciate it. Sam Malone with $5 super chat says, Joel, is there a specific DGH that my planted tank should be at? I just switched to Fertz from ya boy at Nylock G and now own GH boosters. You know, the reality is like it's really going to depend on the plants and your source water, because oftentimes like we do have a little bit of GH in the water coming out of the tap, you know, and to give like an exact answer, I'm kind of off. Now, when I'm testing for GH, I'm looking levels on, what is that? I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. I have it written down in my fish room, because I get the two confused constantly, so I write it down. I want the API. The API test kit is the one I use. So let me look at the images. Okay, here we go. I want to look at the chart. So, because I know from looking at the chart, because I have a hard copy of the chart. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there we go. So the parts per million GHKH, I'm looking in between 35 and 71. That's normally the range where mine's at. So between 2 and 4 drops. So there we go. As I was going to say, between 2 and 4. So I'm looking between 2 and 4 drops is when I do the test. So that's the best way that I could explain. If I hit 5, I'm like, okay. But if it's getting higher than that, I go ahead and do a water change. Hopefully that is a good answer. Is that a good answer? I don't know. It might be the weird answer that is from a guy who's kind of a weirdo. But I'm looking for between 2 and 4 drops. If I get to 5 drops, I'm not that worried. If it's way above that, then I'm like, ah, crap, I got to do a water change. Because I know my water here is, the GH is like 1 or 2 sometimes. But if it gets way high up, that means that like things are being buffered into the water column, and I want to get those out. And I could test further to find out exactly what it is, but it really comes down to, as long as I'm testing my source water, and I know my source water doesn't have anything weird coming out of the tap, which I don't do as often as I should. I probably am only doing that once every 2 months-ish, right? But if I know if my source water is good, excuse me. But if I know my source water is good, then I'm going to do a water change, because I want to actually get mine down. Because a lot of my plants, I don't want really high KH and GH, because I don't have a bunch of stuff. I don't have a bunch of stuff that wants that kind of real hard water. Marnik Fortune says, hey, I just watched the Verdine cichlids video a few days ago and figured out it's only like 20 miles away, so thanks for that. Did you check out more stores while I was there? Yes. I can't remember how many videos I've put up. I have a couple more videos that will be coming up from the Netherlands. I want those to be able to come out at a better time of the year. Way too long of an explanation of when, but they'll be coming out over the year. I don't want everything to just... my initial plan was to drop a whole bunch of videos from the Netherlands and then see how that did. And that just kind of went against all the advice of where I'm at right at this point. So I've been editing and kind of going back and trying to make them better. But they'll be coming out. But yes, it definitely did go to some other stores. What the names of those stores are, I'm just so bad at at Dutch. I the language confuses me. So yes, I went to a bunch of other places, and they were great. But oh no, let's see, what was it? Yeah, I went to West Dyke. West Dyke is one of them. I went to the Shaka's Fish Shack, something. Shaka's. I went to Shaka's. Yeah, we went to we went to a lot of places. So I wish I could do my best. We went to Vivarium while I was there, and I still haven't even put out the Vivarium video. One of Nikki's friends was here earlier. I was in a video with Nikki. She is a fish tuber from Netherlands, and a really cool person. I really thought that she was super nice, very cool, and they did this huge fundraiser. So I'm probably saving the Vivarium video until it's time to hopefully buy tickets and stuff to go to Vivarium again this year, because that's kind of my plan, is to try and go to Vivarium every year, because I really enjoyed that convention. It was definitely top notch, super cool convention. I love the Netherlands. Johan, his family, dude, everything was awesome in the Netherlands. So I had a great time while I was there. So I hope to go back again this year. So I figure I'm going to save the Vivarium video until, a couple months before we try to go. I think I'm caught up with most of the questions. Oh, I was going to find the link to that. Let's see. I think I can search all orders. So let's go Yeti. Yeah, last time I ordered a Yeti was in 2017, and oh wow, seems like it's gone down in price. So here's the link to the Yeti microphone in case anybody out there is gonna start doing their own audio reels or YouTubing and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, I recommend everybody out there start doing your own YouTube videos and stuff. We had a terrific example last week. Escapes me who it was. Was it the Zombie Drummer? I think somebody posted a video that's just some overview videos of their tank. I highly recommend everybody just start filming your tanks a little bit, and then you can use YouTube to upload it and just keep them there. It's a real great way to just track whatever it is that you're doing. So maybe you don't want to do this all the time like I'm always doing or anything like that. So I highly recommend anybody out there to do it. And then here's the Sennheiser. Let me find that's how I have to do this. Hold on. Go back. Yeah, so the Sennheiser is the... What? Where'd it go? This should be it, right? Oh, there we go. I have located it, so let me copy it and I'll paste it in here. And by the way, if you guys click on Amazon links that I post, it will take you to Amazon. It doesn't change your price or anything like that. Basically gives us the advertising fee. So there's my disclosure. Okay, that's my FTC regulated disclosure where they say that I have to tell people that. So I did during the show at however many minutes we're in. I don't know. FNSE bites me when I do maintenance. Probably. Oh wait, what happened? Somebody getting bit. Marnik Fortune says, "Oh, Shaka's Fish Heaven." Yeah. I bought my flower horn from there. Fun store. That's great, man. You're doing a good job on YouTube. Too bad you don't get the credit you deserve. Hey, man, I get the credit I deserve, or I get whatever credit I get, and I'm happy for that. It's all good. Shakas was awesome. Like the Netherlands was awesome. I can't wait to go back and visit again and go film some more fish rooms again. I really can't. It's difficult to explain to people, like, if, let's say that a company hires you to do a shoot, right, for like a short or a commercial or a TV show or a movie or any of that kind of stuff. A big part of it is scouting and scripts and going out to the sites and figuring out exactly like what is needed at that place, or like what the story is from that place. Even if you're doing a documentary, like you would go like a month before, and be able to like check out what's going on, like find the interesting people, like kind of do some interviews with people, see what people do, what do people want to talk about, what's the story here, what's the deal. Even if you're doing that and you were doing it sort of behind the scenes, you still would go. So I'm kind of looking at, what I'm doing here as far as the fish hobby and that kind of stuff to try to help people out, is just to try and keep like edging forward and moving forward and doing this stuff. And, I would love to be at like Corey's level of 400,000 subscribers and just going like, all of his projects are funded at this point, and that's great. But I'm also super grateful. I have a lot of gratitude, and I'm very happy with continuing to move forward. And sometimes it just takes a long time to get a project, off the ground and stuff. And as you guys notice, how many green names and everybody in the chat, like there's a ton of people here that are helping support and stuff, and we're just gonna keep moving forward. If I won the lottery, I would immediately hire like cameramen and editors and all that kind of stuff, and just start documenting as much stuff as as humanly possible. But that hasn't happened. So we're literally like, we're at like about $1,000 a month, and I get taxed top dollar for that too. So all that kind of stuff that's like where we're at right now, and that's way better than zero. So hey. We got 241 patronizers today, and we're at 77 YouTube members. We still haven't hit the 100 YouTube members. It would be cool if these two numbers were the same. I think that would be pretty rad, but you know what I mean. But you know what I'm talking about. But that's the thing. It's always like, I could be looking up at people that are like wildly successful, like, Tom Cruise. I could be like, oh man, why did I get a $50 million movie? I could be looking at that. It's just never ending. So I'm just happy like where we're at. We hit 26,000 subscribers on YouTube today, which is total. I don't know if that's a milestone. Last time I did a 25,000 milestone, I got messages from people that are like, don't make stuff about how many subscribers you hit. I'm like, okay, dude, I don't know. I'm just trying to shout out a milestone. I don't know, whatever. I can because like button no longer deposits shards of glass into my thumb when smashed. Jay's Crazy Obsessions is able to hit the like button because he doesn't get shards of glass into his finger anymore. I'm guessing he downloaded the cracked screen app. You don't want to download that app. It's not a good one. You get shards of glass into your fingers, Let's see. So, okay, where we're at today. So we talked about the guppies. We talked about that stuff, and now we're kind of just chatting into questions and stuff. I think Dennis showed up and he was wondering, are we talking about, or Donald showed up and he's wondered if we were talking about guppies. We were, and then I kind of realized like topically there wasn't just a whole bunch to talk about other than they're doing good, they're breeding. I'm doing much better when I have more than just one male and a female, which I think anybody could have told me that. I mean, yeah, I think you literally could have just walked up to anybody on the street and been like, hey, if you start with one male and one female of something, is it going to be easy to breed it versus having 10 males and 10 females? They'd probably be like, go with the 10, 10, and 10. That'd be good. Right? All right, let me run through. Oh, Jay's apartment flooded. Ooh, that is terrible. And he also says, yeah, no fun. Drywall guys keep getting younger. I swear he said the 22-year-old. Yeah, I tell you, man. I used to do a bunch of drywall stuff when I was much younger. I was the main, no one else wanted to do that drywall job guy. So I worked for a drywall company, and I would work, what days did I work? It was like, I worked like something like, yeah, it was like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And then I worked at a restaurant Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'd work 12-hour shifts at the restaurant. Then I would work drywall on my days off, because in a restaurant, if you're already working like 5 or 10 hours of overtime, they're not going to let you work past that. So I worked at a drywall company doing the crazy repairs that no one else in the company wanted to do. So, all the older guys that knew every job was like, this was going to be a serious pain in the butt. They were like, oh, we'll just slide that over to that guy because he'll go do it. So I used to go do all of those crazy drywall repairs where, like, a leak had come through the roof in, so when you like walk into a house and you look up and it's like 2 stories, and then there's like drywall up there that's at like a 38-degree angle that runs up the roof line up there, and then there's a dumb chandelier in the way that no one has ever cleaned in 30 years. Yeah, and that drywall is sagging. Like, that's what I would get called in to go repair. So I'd be on like, I'd have to try and you'd be like, oh, can we put scaffolding in here? Like, no, there's stairs in the way. It's like, okay, so you'd have to put in like a super long ladder that goes out to the wall from like one of the stairs and then go up there and like hang boards up. Like, yeah, I would do that stuff. But nowadays I'd be like, you got to get a scissor lift in here and some other guys, I think. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would do that anymore. Getting to the point now where it just starts breaking me down, and I'm just like, I'm going to be useless tomorrow. So I'm happy to do all this hard work and carry stuff around. Like, that's all good. I just don't do the completely crazy stuff. YouTube is making my super chat button flash. I know it. It knows I want to send nonsensical super chat. Is YouTube doing that now? Is it making the super chat button flash? It should just make the super chat button flash all the time. The super butt chat? Yeah, we'll call it the super butt chat. Why not? Probably already got demonetized because I talked about breeding. Probably that's probably the word. Let's see. Thomas Glazer with a $5 super chat, just saying, peace, homie. All right. I dig it. Luis Garcia with the #1 foam finger. $2 super chat. Well, thanks, Luis. Appreciate it very much. Yeah, Luis says he had a flood at his apartment too, so we got multiple people with floods in their apartments, which is pretty normal. Out here in Western Washington, everything has been flooded for the last 2 weeks, man. We had this like string of rain, but like, 3 inches one day, 4 inches the next day, 3 inches, 2 inches, just crazy amounts of rain coming down in the mountains. Up at Snoqualmie Pass, they got like 6.5 inches of rain in like 12 hours one of the day. Yeah, so it's just a little nuts. All the rivers are flooding, and it's just kind of bonkers. The butt chat. Yeah, we'll call it the butt chat. Let's see. Hi all. Lurking and driving in a bit. Won't be able to see chat then. Oh, well, good to see you, Chevy. It's good that you're probably heading home. Daniken Aquatics tapped the like button. Speaking of Daniken Aquatics, I probably most likely will be able to see them this weekend. Hopefully, maybe we'll film something. Hopefully, we can get some. Maybe we could video something. I don't know. I don't know if we can work it out. Maybe I'll go to their fish room. I'm gonna see what I can film this weekend. I'm going down to Portland. We got our house sitter gonna come here, so we don't have to take the dogs, which is just crazy. But we're gonna be taking Olivia on our first little trip where we're not going to like grandma's house or camping or anything like that. So we're gonna see how it goes. But should be fun running down to old Portland and see what's going on down there fish-wise and stuff. See what I can't film. Get a couple interviews and maybe some fish rooms and fish-related stuff, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I was officially offered a sous position at work, but I'm extremely torn up about taking it, as some guys are older and have been at my restaurant longer. Any advice? Maybe the other guys don't want to be the sous, you know? I don't know. But I'll tell you this much, like, restaurant business, just work hard and you're going to beat everybody out. So if you're going to feel bad about working hard and getting promoted, take it, because they're going to fire you whenever they feel like it. So, I mean, that's really the experience. Restaurant industry in the United States, you're probably going to get fired at some point, and they're going to be like, well, why? And you'll be like, it doesn't matter. It's just the restaurant industry. It's probably going to happen. I remember like I got let go from a restaurant job, and it's because they hired a new supervisor, and the new supervisor was like, oh, I could do what Joel does. Like, I could do his job. It's fine. I could do his job, and I could be the supervisor. Like, I could do that. It's just, it's no big deal. Like, whatever that guy's doing, it's not a big deal. And, about 2 weeks later, I got a call from the head chef who was like, that's kind of the biggest mistake I've made in a long time. And I was like, yeah, well, cool. Thanks, man. And then I ran into him when I was, if you guys have ever had Vietnamese pho, my favorite Vietnamese pho restaurant is in Ballard, Washington on 15th Avenue Northwest. Go there. I'm not sponsored by them, or this isn't a commercial. That's just my favorite place to get pho. It is perfect. I was actually in there eating a big ass bowl of soup by myself. And that dude came in and he was like, oh, and I ended up talking with him for about a half an hour, and he told me all the stuff that went down after I was gone. So, I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty awful. Maybe don't fire the guy that is doing a ton of work for you and then hope that the new guy is going to do it. Because he didn't. Because he didn't do it. He didn't do what he said he was going to be able to do. And I was like, oh. A super chat for your super butt. 655 from the zombie drummer. Muchas gracias, mi amigo. I appreciate it. Oh, it makes me so appreciative if it's a super chat for my super butt. We got demonetized for saying butt. That's fine, because we have people like Lady Guinevere, who is a new member, in the chat saying that she loves pho, and I love pho too. It's delicious. It's my favorite meal. If I'm like not hungry, even if I'm like not hungry, like, and I don't want to eat anything, I would legit have Vietnamese pho for sure. It is like my favorite thing. Let's see. Did we get oh yeah, I didn't do that yet. We got to do the likes check. So we're at 108 people watching and only 48 likes. Oh, it seems shy. Must not be doing a good job today. Is that better? No. No, it's not. I tried. So we did the thing where I said we're supposed to hit that like button, blah, 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 subscribe, blah, 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 YouTube stuff, blah, blah, blah. There's Patreon down there. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a third-party website where you can go and, like, you can be even for $1 a month. You can help support the show, or you can hit the YouTube members thing and make this number go up, or hit the Patreon thing and make the Patreon thing go up. You can do either of those. If you don't like this live show and you only like the edited content, yeah, help support the channel, and it makes it much easier to do more edited content. It's just a reality of the thing. I pick up every job that I can. I work as many hours as I can to help make this show and stuff, and then my time gets occupied by working so that I can make money, so I can make YouTube videos, and then, yeah. You see how that's a weird cycle? It's a weird cycle of craziness. Uh-oh, Fish Tropic didn't hit it. So, oops. What did I do? Am I now live? Oh, that's weird. I must have had like a different live stream popped up earlier, huh? Oops. I'll probably have to go back and delete that. I was now live on my channel, episode 848. That is super weird. Why did it do that? Oh well. Now I get crap, who was it? I gotta scroll way up here. Oh no! I can't scroll that far. Somebody popped in and they were like, okay, I guess that makes sense now. I realized that somebody popped in and they're like, I was on the other one. I was like, what are you talking about? Now I realize I look over at my other computer. I got an email from myself saying I was live on a different event. Excuse me. Oh, see, there we go. Now we're up to 49. Okay, well, that's good. As long as we hit the like button and then we go up to 49, then we know we're doing good. All right. Punchy Paints posted the links for Patreon. If you feel like going to Patreon, or if you feel like joining up, you can grab any of those links down there and do that stuff. And let me see what we got with questions in the chat. Mikey Fishy says, that's what I need right now to get healthy. Pho and fruit smoothies with vegetables and like spinach and avocado and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Amazon affiliate is my favorite way to spend money, as my family is always getting Amazon gift cards. Yeah, I do have to admit, like, Amazon really does have the market cornered on what they're doing, you know? I mean, I know there's like AliExpress and Alibaba and all that stuff, but Amazon's just got the market cornered big time with that. It's just so convenient, and they have all the stuff, and you don't have to go anywhere. I don't know. All right. I already answered that question. Let's scroll up here. Let's go way back. Oh, Justin Woody said, anyone have tips on keeping algae down in a Shelly tank? It's only a month and a half old, but the sand and glass is covered with algae. Nitrates are at like 20, so not too high. Shelly tank, you always want to dial your light down. So if you have a shell dweller tank, you really just dial that light down. You don't want to you don't want to get that light up that high that's even growing algae at all. You don't need it. You need a light that you can just look in there with. You don't need anything super intense. That's first and foremost, that would be my recommendation. I would get a really cheap LED that basically just illuminates the tank area for viewing for yourself. Unless you have a ton of plants in there, I wouldn't be that concerned about it. But if I was, you in a shell dwelling tank, you're likely going to have an upper shelf. If you have a bunch of plants and stuff that you're trying to keep in there with them, you're going to have like an upper area. So I would get some kind of a light that was definitely directed only at the area where you have plants in there. That's one thing that I would do, is maybe get like a nano light or something like that, and really direct the light that's going on in there, because algae's not really going to do. Algae's not really going to show up unless it has something to photosynthesize. It's going to need something. It's going to need some light to photosynthesize. I mean, as you guys know, if you take plants and you put them in a blackout period, which, you hide them from light for, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, the algae dies off, because it doesn't have the cell structure to maintain without light for that long of a period. So you can actually black out a tank, kill off all the algae that way if you want. I personally don't like to do that, just because it's real negative to a whole entire ecosystem to be doing that. And also, if you do that to a whole entire tank and you turn the lights back to the way you had them before, you're probably just going to get a bunch of algae again, unless you figure out what's going on. Let's see. Justin says, thanks. I got a beams work one, but maybe that's overkill, just the boost and Val. It's been a long time since I've messed with the beams work, but if I recall correctly, the beams work actually have like a really directional lens on them, so it actually does put, a lot of light straight down. If I'm recalling correctly, I might be wrong that it's just pushing too much light in there, but I would consider, figuring out a light that is going to, just down the lighting, But he says he's just got boost and Val. So boost of Alondra, unless you're like aggressively trying to grow it, some ambient light's not going to be that big of a deal. And Valsnaria, directional light on it for 4 to 5 hours is plenty. Like, you don't really need any more than like a good strong directional light on it for like 5 hours. If you think about it in terms of where Val grows, it's going to be growing down either in the water or down close to the shore, where it's not going to have, it's not going to have 12 hours of direct light where it grows naturally. So just giving it that couple hours of real intense light is going to be, generally speaking, enough for it to do well. You know what I mean? Oh, I just got a message from Ken, so I'll get back to that after the show. So yeah, that's what I would do. Recommendation as far as that setup goes. One thing I say about, the Patreon and becoming a member on YouTube is that you do get access to our Discord. So we do see this regularly with like the project tanks and things that people are working on quite a bit, trying to figure out what's going on with algae or whatnot. You can actually post videos or images of what your setup's like. You can kind of really go back and forth to figure out what you're testing for and stuff. But the shell dwellers, what I normally had problems with is that they do really end up being a bit of a waste sink, because of all the little shells. Like all the shells have they get waste buildup in them. So that is something to kind of be cognizant for. Do some water changes, kind of shake those shells out, and try and get some of the buildup of waste and in between the shells and stuff like that. Stuff will settle down and get in between and kind of rot, and give a good opportunity for algae to have a little excess stuff, the excess and things. Light and algae, hashtag do it for the peanut. That's the baby peanut right there. Just got a picture of her from daycare just a minute ago. Looks like she's having fun today, hiding out behind a table. So, all right. I think we're kind of caught up. Keep trying to ask a question, but it's not posting. From Christopher Gustavez. I don't know. What happened? I don't see it. Noah no loss, work restaurant myself, and it's all true. Yeah. Restaurants are a disaster in the United States. I actually was explaining some of the steps of how we've gotten to the insanity that we have in the restaurant industry out here in the United States. If you aren't from here, or maybe you are from here and it's not something that you've thought about that much, but we heavily subsidized our farming system because it has to be done. Everybody needs food. We have to have subsidies to make sure that our farmers can keep going. Now, over the years, they dropped the regulations on allowing farms that are purchasing other farms to get subsidized for the farms that they just bought. So, as true to form in a capitalist society, we've had these farms growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and absorbing more farms with just one person owning them. Now we have these monolithic companies, these giant companies that farm beef and wheat and all that kind of stuff. And then we have these small mom and pops places that started up like McDonald's. And the capitalist society that we have, they just kept, when somebody keeps winning, they just eventually get to the point where now they sell billions of cheeseburgers. Well, they have the buying power and have had the buying power for a really long time to buy from these larger corporate food sources at a cheaper price in order to sell you a 89-cent cheeseburger or a 99-cent cheeseburger, right? That has allowed other companies to jump into this super cheap food thing. So if you come to the U.S., you will notice something. There's a Wendy's, there's a Burger King, there's a McDonald's, there's a Burger Town, there's a Taco Bell, a Taco Time, Applebee's, a Chili's, all these fast food, and that'll just be on one corner, and you drive to the next corner, and it's like, oh, there's a 7-Eleven here, and you know what I mean, and the list goes on. So we have just far too many places that are preparing and selling food at a price that makes no sense because they're competitive in the market because they don't actually have to pay anybody anything, right? Now, this bleeds into the restaurant industry because they're directly competing with McDonald's. And a lot of people don't see that as that being a competition. It's like, oh, a really nice restaurant isn't competing with Dairy Queen, right? But they actually are, because if people go to Dairy Queen and eat, they're not going to go into the nice restaurant that night, which means another day goes by. If you go to European countries, like a good example would be even when we were in the Netherlands, like people that work at the McDonald's there, they make enough money to just work at McDonald's because it's a job. It's a job that occupies your whole entire week. We don't really have that here in the U.S. The U.S., like our minimum wage now is like, what, $7.25 an hour? And so all this stuff all bleeds over into the restaurant industry. And because you can pay all these people this super low wage, there's not a lot of regulation going on. There's not a lot of follow-up going on. I always hear like the people in the red club, the red team, they're like, oh man, all these illegal immigrants coming out here to steal our jobs. And it's like, yeah, but you're paying the dishwasher $6.15 an hour to be soaking wet and wash dishes and run around and get yelled at all day. There's not very many people that are willing to do that, and oftentimes it's a guy named Jose who's like, man, I've been here for 2 months, and they're just stoked to get a job and get going. And by the way, like, I love those guys, and I don't think there's any reason that those guys shouldn't have a job, but that's just kind of how it works. There's no real regulation on the back end to find out if anybody has anything happening, because if you go look at our government, there's $13 billion last year that got dropped into Social Security that it's not assigned to a person, because all the illegal people working, they're still collecting the Social Security taxes and stuff, but it's just not going anywhere. So our government's trying to steal that excess money from Social Security. People are trying to stop them from even taking the money out of Social Security, but good luck at this point. But you start to figure out, like, there's all these little steps that we've gotten to the point where our food is disgusting. more often than not. Most of our food is like a frozen processed thing that somebody throws in a fryer, and then you're like, that's going to be $2.99, and it makes no sense that it why is it $2.99? It was $2.99 20 years ago. How is it the same price now? So it's just it's a real multifaceted situation, and the honestly, like, the way I see it, when you start to break down a lot of this stuff, it's because we're not protecting society as a whole. We're trying to protect society as individuals, and it's not working, and I look at it like rising tide rises all ships, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what we really need to be focusing on, especially in the U.S. I don't know about other countries, but in the U.S., we should definitely be focusing on let's go everybody, So, I recently got into this debate with somebody that said, well, what's your proposal? And I said, well, my first proposal would be you can only own so much land, right? Because it would be stupid to say you could only have so much money, right? Because money's fake. It's not a real thing. They just print more of it, and they just invent it. But the land, there's only so much land. There's only so much land, and it's crazy that people like Ted Turner own more land than a state, not a steak. And how that's allowed in the U.S., I don't know, but it's because of America's sweet freedom, I don't know, whatever it is. But that would be my first step, and not allowing the subsidies to these companies that have like 4 employees, but they have 600,000 acres that they're farming, right? It'll be like one guy and 3 employees that are farming 600,000 acres of one crop, which is just like, wait a minute, what? Eric Hernandez says taco shops saved you. I agree, man. Taco shops are awesome. And you know what I mean? Like individuals that are like creating food and making food and getting food out to people, that's awesome. These like, the corporate manufactured food is just not working. Factory farming is just not working. And we just got to keep rocking and rolling, We can enforce monopoly laws. They existed at one point. Yep. It's just that's the big thing, is that there's a lot of monopoly laws that got put into place because of like the Carnegies and stuff like that. I always say Carnegies, but I think it's Carnegie, I think is how it's pronounced, right? I don't know. But families like that, Rockefellers, that they just, if you play the game of Monopoly, that's basically how the U.S. economy is set up. Eventually somebody just wins. Brook and Hooks Fishing says, I think we're reverting back to imperialism. I would agree with the direction that things are headed right now. I think we're running dangerously close to imperialism. Like, I think, we're getting really close to oligarchy type standards at this point. We're really getting to the point where, if you think about it, like a king back in the day, like the King of France, right? Probably had 1 or 2 million people that were their subjects, right? And now it's really easy to just kind of count through and go like, there's 300-400 people that probably have 1 million people under them earning for them, right? So it's just a whole bunch of little oligarchies, and just can't imagine it's going to go that well if we just keep going this route, and I don't think it's going to work. Justin Woody says, it doesn't help if people are cheap. It doesn't help people are cheap as hell now. People don't want to pay a decent price for anything. It's always just cheap. Yeah, it's also that's a big part of the culture. It's one of the things that I was debating against in 1994, if you can believe that. I was going to organize debates, debating the opposition of China getting the most favored nation status. And if you look into what most favored nation status was, it was essentially they could appoint to a country that once they had the most favored nation status, you could just trade with them relentlessly without having to take into consideration like human rights violations or any of that kind of stuff. You could just do it. And they kept just assigning it to China because at the time, China, and still today, they were producing tons of cheap stuff. And instead of going along the route of we want to produce and consume more quality stuff, I got directed into the direction that that Americans wanted to buy more cheap stuff, which is why you look at if you look at like flat screen TV prices from 2020 to like you go to like 2005 or something like that, or even back to 1998 or 1985, like the price of the expensive TV has been exactly the same, and the price of what the typical house TV adjusted for inflation has stayed the same. So people wonder, like, why are the prices set at stuff? It's because they're adjusting for inflation for people to buy at the same price throughout the years, and give them a more perceived value. So like a 27-inch TV in like 2001 or something would be the same inflated price on like a 42-inch TV now. So, yeah, I don't know. Brook and Hooks Fishing says China's economy is crumbling after we stopped trading. Actually, no. They're investing heavily into their infrastructure. They just signed a deal that spurred Russia to invest like $100 billion into its soy and wheat production to supply to China. So we were actually losing out on that whole deal. With basically all of our farmers have been kind of blocked out of the market because coming up next year, Russia's going to have a whole bunch more to supply to them, and it doesn't need to go across an ocean. It needs to go across a highway, or they go up and around and come back down. I don't know how they're going to supply it, but they struck a deal with Russia to produce a lot of their soy and wheat and soybean and sorghum and all that stuff that they buy. Ariel S. was asking, what plant deficiencies cause old growth to turn yellow clear and the tips greener towards the bottom, like as if the plant is sucking nutrients from the leaf? You got it. Your question has the answer in it. When you have like a stem plant that is growing leaves as you go up higher and higher, right? You gotta remember that the photosynthetic process is how your plant is going to gain energy. It's going to be able to absorb the light, create that into sugars, and use those sugars to break down and combine with carbons and what other building blocks it needs to continue to grow, which causes it to get closer to the light. Now, in an aquarium, it's a little more exacerbated than it is out in the wild, right? Because our lights aren't as strong as the sun. At times, they're as strong as the sun. It's pretty rare that they actually would be, but they're directional in such a way that most of our lights are coming straight in from up above. So there's not a whole lot of ambient light coming from different directions with the sun and all that, right? And we also aren't really matching the power of the sun. But as that plant grows up and up and up and up, the plant realizes that these leaves down here, down below, aren't getting any light or photosynthesis on them. So basically what the plant does is either it stops adding and sending anything to those leaves down low because there's no photosynthesis happening. There's no ability for it to absorb any of the energy of the light with those leaves. And I don't think it's a conscious process that the plant is taking in order to do that. It's just happening that way. It's just happening with the older leaves that they're just, I'm going to withdraw whatever energy I can out of those, and then they're just going to die off. Yeah. So those bottom leaves dying off like that's just completely natural. But as I've kind of recommended in some other videos, you would want to pull that whole plant out, trim in the, just trim in the middle, right? Replant the top portion. Now take that root stock and everything like that, throw it in a tank and let it sprout, because there's enough energy down in the roots and that lower stock to send out some new sprouts. Let those sprouts grow a little bit, trim those off from there. That's one of the better ways to propagate without trying to do it in the aquarium and have to look at all this crazy crap floating around in there. So that would be my recommendation. All my other plants appear to be thriving. Let's see here. Don't want to get too deep into politics again, but UG Aquatics says China is on a razor. They're either going to boom or bust. Their infrastructure and housing isn't growing at a sustainable rate. They're building entire cities without anyone living there. It's weird. Yeah, they are constructing all sorts of cities, and they're doing a bunch of stuff. But I think China is not on a razor, and the reason for that is that they have a completely different structure than we do. In the fact that they have actually experienced famine in the generation of the people that exist right now. We have famine mentality in the United States, and yet no one in the United States has experienced famine, which is odd. Whereas the older generation in China has directly experienced famine, riots, food riots, all that kind of stuff, and yet they're more often than not, and it might all just be propaganda, who knows? I haven't personally been there and lived in China for 10 years or anything to give you an opinion. But they're almost always of the opinion that they all have to work together and just keep working together. Otherwise, it's all going to fall apart. So, they have enough people and enough resources and enough land to do something. And I think they're just going to keep doing it. So, because they were doing it before when they had nothing. So if they have nothing again, they're just going to keep doing it from evidence of the past. They probably will just keep going. Alyssa says to Ariel, maybe the plant needs more specific nitrogen then, like root tabs. I'll put one under the root. Maybe Ariel's having problems all over. It sounded like he was having problems with the lower leaves. What plant deficiency causes old growth to turn yellow clear at the tips and greener towards the bottom, like as if the plant is sucking nutrients from the leaf? Yeah, so on that old growth stuff, yeah. If the whole entire plant is doing that, yes, you certainly do have a deficiency. I would consider some root tabs and up your fertilizer. I mean, that's the easiest way to put it. Somebody was recently asking me like why I don't have very many sword plants, and that's probably one of the reasons why I don't have a lot of sword plants these days, because that will happen with a sword. I thought I saw a ghost. It was the sun. Sun's shining off a bucket out there. Oh. I just burped up something. Hold on, I got to drink something here. This whole stomach virus thing is just not fun. Let's see. I remember UG Aquatics was asking earlier, how did my crypt do? Is it staying alive? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got that like a week ago, so I think that video came out on like Saturday, I think that video came out on Saturday, so it's been pretty well adapted now, and I'm going to be splitting it pretty soon, and then I'll probably have, I don't know when that video will come out, but it'll probably come out like a week from now. I'm going to finish it when I finish splitting it and all that stuff and shooting it and editing it and doing the voiceover and finishing the end and blah, blah, blah. Brook and Hooks Fishing. Hey, Corvus, how many times should I add ferts in a 13-gallon tank when it's running CO2, all high equipment? That's... You're going to have to test and figure out when to add it. I can't tell you how many times a week for a 13-gallon tank. I would start at 1 squirt a week. If you're, I mean, it sounds like you're using Easy Green. I guess maybe would be my guess because you're using 1 squirt for like 10 gallons. But obviously it depends on the fertilizer. It also depends on plant load, how quickly the fertilizer is getting used up. It might be 10 a week. It might be 2 a week. It might be 1 every 3 weeks. It just really depends on the plants, the plant load. If you're testing water, that answer will come to you. So the way I test for my fertilizers is, I test nitrate to see what's going on. That's me. I find the easiest way to really keep track of what's going on with fertilizers is check the nitrate, see what's going on there, add some nitrate or add some fertilizer to bring it up to. I was taking it up to 50, 60 parts per million, but I've recently dialed it back down to about 30. I realized I was like going kind of buck wild with the fertilizer there for a while, and it's like, I got to tone this down. This is getting too crazy. And I have been propagating some black beard algae in the 240. We're going to start the glutaraldehyde dosing to show you guys that fairly soon here. I feel like I've got the algae established enough that I'll be able to shoot video fairly easy of it, adding it in. The bigger the plants, the more they need root tabs and Easy Green. Yep. All right, we're at how many views we at? Or likes we at? We're at 68 likes. Okay, that's always nice. 68 feels all right. That feels good. Viewer activity: Mr. Zen, Sam Malone, Luis Garcia, Thomas Glazer, and the Zombie Drummer, all with super chats today. No new members over there. No new members on the Patreon. All right. That's cool. It's a Monday. I get it. I hope you all have a fantastic day out there. And I'll talk to you all, I don't know, whenever I talk to you all next. When will that be?